Section 3 of the Saga of Gunnlaug the Worm-tongue and Raven the Skald by Anonymous. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Phil Schempf. Of Gunnlaug in the East and the West. In those days Earl Eric, the son of Hakon, and his brother Svein, ruled in Norway. Earl Eric abode as then at Hladir, which was left to him by his father, and a mighty lord he was. Skuli, the son of Thorstein, was with the earl at that time, and was one of his court, and well esteemed. Now they say that Gunnlaug and Audun Festargram, and 7 of them together, went up to Hladir to the earl. Gunnlaug was so clad that he had on a grey kirtle and white long hose. He had a boil on his foot by the instep, and from this oozed blood and matter as he strode on. In this guise he went before the earl with Audun and the rest of them, and greeted him well. The earl knew Audun, and asked him tidings from Iceland. Audun told him what there was toward. Then the earl asked Gunnlaug who he was, and Gunnlaug told him his name and kin. Then the earl said, "Skuli Thorstein's son, what manner of man is this in Iceland?" "Lord," says he, "give him good welcome, for he is the son of the best man in Iceland, Illugi the Black of Gilsbank, and my foster brother withal." The earl asked, "What ails thy foot, Icelander?" "A boil, lord," said he. "And yet thou wentest not halt?" Gunnlaug answers, "Why go halt, while both legs are long alike?" Then said one of the earl's men, called Thorir, "He swaggereth hugely, this Icelander. It would not be amiss to try him a little." Gunnlaug looked at him and sang, "A courtman there is, full evil I wis, a bad man and black, belief let him lack." Then would Thorir seize an axe. The earl spake, "Let it be," says he. "To such things men should pay no heed. But now, Icelander, how old a man art thou?" Gunnlaug answers, "I am 18 winters old as now," says he. Then says Earl Eric, "My spell is that thou shalt not live 18 winters more." Gunnlaug said, somewhat under his breath, "Pray not against me, but for thyself rather." The earl asked thereat, "What didst thou say, Icelander?" Gunnlaug answers, "What I thought well befitting, that thou shouldst bid no prayers against me, but pray well for thyself rather." "What prayers then?" says the earl. "That thou mightest not meet thy death after the manner of Earl Hakon thy father." The earl turned red as blood, and bade them take the rascal in haste. But Skuli stepped up to the earl and said, "Do this for my words, lord, and give this man peace, so that he depart at his swiftest." The earl answered, "At his swiftest let him be off then, if he will have peace, and never let him come again within my realm." Then Skuli went out with Gunnlaug down to the bridges, where there was an England-bound ship ready to put out. Therein Skuli got for Gunnlaug a berth, as well as for Thorkel his kinsman. But Gunnlaug gave his ship into Audun's ward, and so much of his goods as he did not take with him. Now sail Gunnlaug and his fellows into the English main, and come at autumn tide south to London bridge, where they hauled ashore their ship. Now at that time King Ethelred, the son of Edgar, ruled over England, and was a good lord. This winter he sat in London. But in those days there was the same tongue in England as in Norway and Denmark. But the tongues changed when William the Bastard won England, for thenceforward French went current there, for he was of French kin. Gunnlaug went presently to the king, and greeted him well and worthily. The king asked him from what land he came, and Gunnlaug told him all as it was. "But," said he, "I have come to meet thee, lord. For that I have made a song on thee, and I would that it might please thee to hearken to that song." The king said it should be so, and Gunnlaug gave forth the song well and proudly, and this is the burden thereof. As God are all folk fearing, the free Lord King of England, King of all kings and all folk, to Ethelred the head toe. The king thanked him for the song, and gave him as a song reward a scarlet cloak, lined with the costliest of furs, and golden broidered down to the hem, and made him his man, and Gunnlaug was with him all the winter, and was well accounted of. One day in the morning early, Gunnlaug met three men in a certain street, and Thororm was the name of their leader. He was big and strong, and right evil to deal with. He said, "Northman, lend me some money." Gunnlaug answered, "That were ill-counselled, to lend one's money to unknown men." He said, "I will pay it thee back on a named day." "Then shall it be risk," said Gunnlaug, and he lent him the fee withal. But some time afterwards Gunnlaug met the king, and told him of the money-lending. The king answered, "Now hast thou thriven little, for this is the greatest robber and reiver. Deal with him in no wise, but I will give thee money as much as thine was." Gunnlaug said, "Then do we your men do after a sorry sort, if, treading sackless folk under foot, we let such fellows as this deal us out of our lot. Nay, that shall never be." Soon after he met Thororm, and claimed the fee of him. He said he was not going to pay it. Then Gunnlaug sang, "Evil-counselled art thou, gold from us withholding, the reddener of the edges, pricking on with tricking. What ye, what? They called me Worm-tongue, yet a youngling, nor for naught so hight I. Now is the time to show it." "Now I will make an offer good in law," says Gunnlaug, "that thou either pay me my money, or else that thou go on home with me in 3 nights' space." Then laughed the viking, and said, "Before thee none have come to that, to call me to home, despite of all the ruin that many a man has had to take at my hands. Well, I am ready to go." Thereon they parted for that time. Gunnlaug told the king what had befallen, and he said, "Now indeed have things taken a right hopeless turn, for this man's eyes can dull any weapon. But thou shalt follow my rede. Here is a sword I will give thee. With that thou shalt fight, but before the battle show him another." Gunnlaug thanked the king well therefor. Now when they were ready for the holm, Thororm asked what sort of sword it was he had. Gunnlaug unsheathed it and showed him, but had a loop round the handle of the king's sword, and slipped it over his hand. The Berserk looked on the sword, and said, "I fear not that sword." But now he dealt a blow on Gunnlaug with his sword, and cut off from him nigh all his shield. Gunnlaug smote in turn with the king's gift. The Berserk stood shieldless before him, thinking he had the same weapon he had shown him, but Gunnlaug smote him his death blow then and there. The king thanked him for this work, and he got much fame therefor, both in England and far and wide elsewhere. In the spring, when ships sailed from land to land, Gunnlaug prayed King Ethelred for leave to sail somewhither. The king asked what he was about then. Gunnlaug said, "I would fulfil what I have given my word to do," and sang this stave withal. "My ways must I be wending, 3 kings' walls to see yet, and earls twain as I promised, erewhile to land-sharers. Neither will I wend me back the worm's bed lacking, by warlord's son the wealth free, for work done gift well given." "So be it then, skald," said the king. And withal he gave him a ring that weighed 6 ounces. "But," said he, "thou shalt give me thy word to come back next autumn, for I will not let thee go altogether, because of thy great prowess." Of Gunnlaug in Ireland. Thereafter Gunnlaug sailed from England with chapmen north to Dublin. In those days King Sigtrygg Silkybeard, son of King Olaf Kvaran and Queen Kormlada, ruled over Ireland, and he had then borne sway but a little while. Gunnlaug went before the king, and greeted him well and worthily. The king received him as was meet. Then Gunnlaug said, "I have made a song on thee, and I would fain have silence therefor." The king answered, "No men have before now come forward with songs for me, and surely will I hearken to thine." Then Gunnlaug brought the song, whereof this is the burden: "Swaru's steed does Sigtrygg feed." And this is therein also: Praise worth I can well measure in man, and kings one by one. Lo here Kvarara's son, Gruageth the king, gift of gold ring. I, singer, know his wont to bestow. Let the high king say, heard he o'er this day, song drop o' measure, dearer a treasure. The king thanked him for the song, and called his treasurer to him, and said, How shall the song be rewarded? What hast thou will to give, lord? says he. How will it be rewarded if I give him 2 ships for it? said the king. Then said the treasurer, This is too much, lord. Other kings give in regard of songs good keepsakes, fair swords, or golden rings. So the king gave him his own raiment of new scarlet, a gold-embroidered kirtle, and a cloak lined with choice furs, and a gold ring which weighed a mark. Gunnlaug thanked him well. He dwelt a short time here, and then went thence to the Orkneys. Then was the lord in Orkney, Earl Sigurd, the son of Hlodver. He was friendly to Icelanders. Now Gunnlaug greeted the earl well, and said he had a song to bring him. The earl said he would listen thereto, since he was of such great kin in Iceland. Then Gunnlaug brought the song. It was a shorter lay, and well done. The earl gave him for lay reward a broadaxe, all inlaid with silver, and bade him abide with him. Gunnlaug thanked him both for his gift and his offer, but said he was bound east for Sweden, and thereafter he went on board ship with chapmen who sailed to Norway. In the autumn they came east to King's Cliff, Thorkel his kinsman being with him all the time. From King's Cliff they got a guide up to West Gothland, and came upon a cheaping stead called Skarir. There ruled an earl called Sigurd, a man stricken in years. Gunnlaug went before him, and told him he had made a song on him. The earl gave a willing ear hereto, and Gunnlaug brought the song, which was a shorter lay. The earl thanked him and rewarded the song well, and bade him abide there that winter. Earl Sigurd had a great Yule feast in the winter, and on Yule Eve came thither men sent from Earl Eric of Norway, 12 of them together, and brought gifts to Earl Sigurd. The earl made them good cheer, and bade them sit by Gunnlaug through the Yule tide, and there was great mirth at the drinks. Now the Gothlanders said that no earl was greater or of more fame than Earl Sigurd, but the Norwegians thought that Earl Eric was by far the foremost of the two. Hereon would they bandy words, till they both took Gunnlaug to be umpire in the matter. Then he sang this stave: Tell ye staves of Speardin, how on sleek side sea-horse oft this earl hath proven overtopping billows. But Eric victory's ash-tree oft hath seen in these seas, more of high blue billows before the bows a-roaring. Both sides were content with his finding, but the Norwegians the best. But after Yuletide those messengers left with gifts of goodly things, which Earl Sigurd sent to Earl Eric. Now they told Earl Eric of Gunnlaug's finding. The earl thought that he had shown upright dealing and friendship to him herein, and let out some words, saying that Gunnlaug should have good peace throughout his land. What the earl had said came thereafter to the ears of Gunnlaug. But now Earl Sigurd gave Gunnlaug a guide east to Tenthland in Sweden, as he had asked. End of Section 3.